Revealed. My children laughed at my $50 inheritance, then the amazing truth changed everything. Mae Dawson stood in the dim light of her kitchen, her fingers trembling as she opened the envelope. The air felt heavy with loss, a weight that settled in her chest like a stone. Inside that envelope lay her father's last wish, a mere $50 bill. The room buzzed with memories of a man who had sacrificed every ounce of himself for his family, only to leave behind a sum so laughable it felt like an insult. When she finally showed it to Jake and Lucy, it erupted like a firecracker in their living room. They burst into fits of laughter, their teenage minds struggling to grasp the deeper implications. $50? Is that all he left you, Mom? Jake scoffed, rolling his eyes. Lucy chimed in. Must be nice to inherit nothing. Their mockery echoed painfully in her heart, each laugh chipping away at her fragile self-worth. Mae felt a rising tide of sadness mixed with indignation. How could they not see the layers of grit and determination woven into her father's life? As their laughter faded, a silence crept in, thickening like fog. Mae's heart ached. She felt like a ship lost at sea, the shore of her values disappearing beyond the horizon as her kids chased dreams of wealth that had little room for the integrity her father had upheld. What did money mean if not the sweat and toil behind it? Mae felt she was losing her connection to her kids, her own children, who were becoming strangers before her eyes. The days rolled on, heavy and dark, yet their neighbor, Mr. Thompson, always sat on his porch, a warm smile gracing his weathered face. Every evening as Mae returned from the diner, he'd nod, welcoming her to unwind with stories of the past. Hard work builds character, Mae, he'd say, eyes shining with unyielding conviction. Your dad knew that, and so do you. His words wrapped around her tightly, pulling her back into the kitchen where she had once danced in the warmth of her father's love. An idea materialized, the flicker of a flame igniting her spirit. What if she turned her grief into something nourishing? She found her passion for cooking creeping back in. With each stir and sprinkle, her heart lightened as she poured love into every dish. Time to cater, she whispered to herself, filling her small oven with the scent of apple pie and garlic bread. Juggling the diner and her new endeavor was tough, but with the backing of Mr. Thompson's encouragement, Mae felt her resolve strengthening. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mae's Pies entered a local fair, and when the blue ribbon was announced, her heart soared. A tight-knit community that once felt distant now rallied around her, recognizing her resilience. In that moment, warmth flooded her heart, and she could feel something shifting in her relationship with her children. Yet, as Mae celebrated her successes, Jake and Lucy battled their own internal struggles. They began to see their mother in a new light, but lingering tensions still pulsed underneath. Could they reconcile the dreams they held for themselves with the newfound understanding of hard work and family pride? Just as they were beginning to bridge the gap, a revelation surfaced that threatened to pull them back apart, leaving everyone to question what it truly meant to be wealthy and happy. Mae felt the tides changing, but the storm hadn't fully passed. Hope flickered, urging them all to face the unknown. Mae woke early the next morning, the light barely creeping through the kitchen window. The blue ribbon still gleamed on the counter, a symbol of her recent triumph. Yet sleep had eluded her. The whirlwind of emotions felt heavier than ever. She pulled on her worn slippers and padded quietly to the living room. Sitting on the edge of the couch, she gazed at the photographs of her family lining the wall. Memories danced in her mind: birthdays, holidays, laughter around the dinner table. Was it possible to recapture those moments? Or were they slipping further from her grasp, pulled away by Jake and Lucy's ambitions? As she contemplated this, the smell of fresh coffee began to fill the air, jolting her from her thoughts. Jake stumbled into the kitchen, his hair tousled, eyes still heavy with sleep. "Morning, Mom," he mumbled, pouring himself a cup before glancing at her. "What's with the trophy?" "It's a ribbon, not a trophy," Mae corrected gently with a hint of a smile, her heart lifting. "I entered the fair's baking contest. I won." "Seriously?" Jake blinked, interest sparking. That's kind of cool. The surprise in his tone gave Mae hope. Maybe their bond wasn't as frayed as she feared. I really enjoyed it. Felt good to create something people loved. Lucy joined them, her expression a blend of curiosity and fatigue. We heard about your win. What's next? A bakery? She teased with a grin, her typical humor surfacing amid uncertainty. Mae chuckled, but beneath her smile lay an urgency. Actually, I'm thinking about doing catering. You know, small events and parties. She held her breath, waiting for their reactions. Jake nodded slowly, then shrugged, casual like it was no big deal. But the wheels were turning in his mind. Lucy leaned against the counter, her expression softening. Actually, that sounds really fun, Mom. You could use the money, right? You know, from our inheritance. The comment poked at Mae's wound, but instead of pushing back, she let it rest in the air. It's not about the money for me. It's about sharing love through food just like Dad did. As they sat around the table sipping their coffee, a sense of camaraderie began to form. The conversation shifted from small talk to shared memories of their father, and attention started to dissipate. It felt like the broken threads were starting to weave back together. Just then the doorbell rang, shattering the moment. Mae's heart quickened as she opened the door to find Mr. Thompson standing there, his weathered hands clutching a basket of fresh produce. Thought you could use these for your cooking, Mae, he said with his warm smile. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. You're too kind, she replied, beaming at the unexpected gesture. Just spreading the love, he said, then paused, his gaze flickering to Jake and Lucy. It's about time you kids help your mom with her dream. You know she's got something special in her. Surprised, Jake shot Mae a questioning look, as if he suddenly saw her through a different lens. Maybe you're right, he said slowly. I should help out a little more. With that single statement, hope rushed back into the room, mingling with the aroma of coffee and fresh vegetables. But as Mae began to feel the lightness of new possibilities, an unsettling thought snuck into the corners of her mind. What if this moment of connection was just an illusion, fading into the dark as they faced harder truths? With renewed determination, she decided to take action that week. Swallowing her fears, she invited the kids to join her on a special catering job she had managed to land. As they agreed, a sense of unity grew between them, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. But deep down, Mae knew the real test loomed ahead. The revelation lurking in the background threatened to redefine their new connections, waiting like a storm on the horizon. With her heart pounding, she wondered, what would happen when their greatest fears faced the truth behind her father's inheritance? Would they stand together? Or would the laughter that once cut so deeply return with vengeance? The week rolled by quickly, the fate of Mae's small catering venture hanging in the balance, buoyed by moments of laughter and shared memories with Jake and Lucy. Each day brought them closer, but Mae sensed the impending storm brewing just beyond the horizon. Saturday morning finally arrived, the sun shining brightly as they gathered in the kitchen to prepare for their first official catering gig. The kitchen bustled with energy, laughter bouncing off the walls like a joyful echo. Mae felt a rush of excitement as she set out ingredients on the counter, memories of her father's bustling presence blending into the present moment. Mom, where do we start? Jake's voice broke through her memories, a mix of eagerness and uncertainty lacing his question. Let's make the appetizer bites first, Mae suggested, her mood lightening. Get the chopping board ready, Lucy. Lucy nodded, grabbing the board. This kitchen feels alive, she said, smirking at the knife in her hand. We're like a cooking show. Mae watched them move, heart swelling with pride. Focused, they laughed, elbowing each other playfully as they diced tomatoes and whisked dressing. The simple rhythms of slicing and stirring spun a cocoon of comfort around them. But as they prepped the dishes, Mae's thoughts danced uneasily to the idea of what lay beyond this moment. The catering job could be their first step to something bigger. But was she really ready? Did her children truly support her vision? They finished a round of savory bites, gleaming with fresh herbs and vibrant colors. Mae's nose tingled at the delicious aroma wafting through the air. She looked at her children, their faces flushed with effort and humor. In that moment, the lingering shadows of the past faded just a bit. What do you think Dad would say if he were here? Jake asked, wiping his forehead. Mae felt a knot in her throat. He'd be proud, she whispered. He loved food and he loved to see people happy. The moment felt bittersweet, a melding of joy and longing. Just as she was about to say more, a loud crash interrupted them. Lucy gasped, nearly dropping a bowl, turning quickly to see the noise. "Did you hear that?" Jake asked, his brow wrinkled in concern. "Maybe it's nothing," Mae replied, trying to dismiss her own unease. They continued cooking, but the day's lightness was gone, replaced by an insistent tension in Mae's chest. It crept in like a thick fog, sinking down deeply amid the growing uncertainty. Suddenly her phone buzzed on the counter. Mae glanced at it. The message lit up the screen. It was from a longtime friend of her late husband, curious about the catering job. But then, another notification caught her eye. It was a news alert about a recent estate settlement concerning her father-in-law. Breathing in sharply, her heart raced. Was this the truth she had been dreading? "Mom, you okay?" Jake caught her tense expression. Mae's voice faltered. She hesitated, unsure how to reveal the burden pressing down on her. Should she tell them now? Should she wait until after the event? What did that message say? Lucy asked, concern painted across her face. Feeling the weight of the unknown pushing against her walls, Mae realized the truth could no longer hide behind the curtain of uncertainty. "It's about Dad's inheritance," she started, her heart racing with the gravity of the words. "There's something important I need to share with you." Both Jake and Lucy exchanged glances, anxiety creeping into their features. Whatever Mae had to say seemed bigger than their small kitchen, yet somehow tied to the warmth they had just begun to rebuild. And as Mae prepared to speak, she felt the tension snap like a taut wire, ready to unravel everything. Would this truth break them apart again, or could it mend the fabric of their family anew? All her hopes rested on a whisper, poised to tumble into the air. What had she been blind to, and what would they discover about their father and their bond? The moment loomed, thick with emotions, and Mae knew that it was now or never. "Mom, what do you mean about Dad's inheritance?" Jake's voice was shaky, the weight of the unknown pressing on all their hearts. Silence engulfed the room. The vibrancy of their earlier banter was snuffed out, replaced by a heavy air that felt like a storm cloud hovering just above them. Lucy's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the bowl, her wide eyes capturing the gravity of their mother's words. Mae cleared her throat, wishing she had a way to soften the blow. "I got a message this morning. It seems your grandfather finally settled some things regarding Dad's estate." Each word seemed to hang in the air, thickening the tension. "There's a possibility that he left something for us." "What kind of something?" Jake's voice trembled slightly, his brows furrowed as confusion mixed with worry. "A small inheritance," Mae explained. $50. Not much, but it made me think perhaps it signifies more than just money. Lucy frowned, clearly trying to manage her disappointment. $50? Seriously? All that fuss for $50? The disappointment in her tone stung Mae. "I know it sounds insignificant," Mae continued, her heart heavy. "But it's not about the amount. It's about what it represents. Your father's family hasn't acknowledged us for years. This could be a chance to reconnect, to understand where we come from. Or just a reminder that they don't want us," Jake replied, his voice tight. Mae felt another knot twist in her stomach, her children's emotions swirling around her like leaves in a breeze. "I get it. You're angry. So am I. But this might also be a step toward healing. It's a thread to pull, to see if there's a tapestry we can rebuild." "What does that mean for us?" Lucy asked cautiously, her eyes narrowing with uncertainty. "We could reach out, see if there's more than just this little bit." Mae was surprised at her own courage, the words spilling out louder than she had intended. "Could open doors. Maybe there's more to discover about your dad's past." Jake shook his head. "But what if it's just a trap? What if they just want to throw money at us?" "For $50? Mae reasoned, attempting to lighten the mood. "Honestly, that sounds more like a bad sitcom than a family reunion." Lucy snorted, a small smile breaking through. "You're not wrong about that." But then reality set in again. Heavy and unavoidable. "Do you really think it's worth pursuing?" Jake asked quietly. Looking at her kids, Mae realized this was more than just about an inheritance. It echoed their own struggles, pain, loss, and abandonment. "I don't know, but I think knowing the truth might help us grow," she said, her voice growing softer, more introspective. "We have to confront what we've lost in order to find what we still have." For a moment they all stood still, letting the silence wash over them. Mae watched her children process the new reality layer before them, the tension shifting under an umbrella of potential and vulnerability. "Okay," Jake finally said, his voice firming. "Let us do it. Let us see where this leads." A rush of warmth filled Mae. "You mean it?" "Yeah." Lucy smiled reluctantly, nudging her brother. "Might even be fun. Plus, I bet we could use the $50 on pizza." Mae chuckled, the laughter easing the tension a little more. "Pizza is a good idea. But first we have to finish what we started here today." As they returned to preparing their catering dishes, Mae could feel a subtle shift in the air, a spark of determination igniting between them. But she also felt an unease deep in her gut, lurking beneath the surface. What awaited them if they truly reached out? Hope clashed with fear, and she knew too well that digging into the past could unearth more than just memories. The afternoon wore on and the kitchen filled with the intoxicating sense of their hard work. Still, Mae sensed a storm was coming, one that could either tear them apart again or bring them together in unexpected ways. As they plated the appetizers with care, Mae felt the latent questions hovering on the edges of their conversation, wondering how far they might go and what shadows from the past might reveal. Would they find the answers they longed for? All she could do was take the step forward, embracing the uncertainty that lay ahead. The journey was just beginning, and with it, the new layers of their story, intertwined with the legacy of love and loss. "Ready for the next step?" Mae asked, glancing at her children. "Only if you are," Jake replied, his gaze steady, challenging. And with that simple exchange, the stage was set for the unfolding drama to come. Little did they know that the truth behind that $50 would be more complex than any of them could have imagined. The next morning, Mae awoke to sunlight streaming through the kitchen window, illuminating the remnants of yesterday's worry. She brewed coffee, letting the comforting aroma fill the air while she thought about her conversation with Jake and Lucy. They had decided to pursue this breadcrumb of an inheritance, but doubt still gnawed at her. Jake shuffled in first, still in his pajamas, the grogginess in his eyes clashing with the determination from yesterday. "What's the plan for today?" he asked, scratching his head. "Let us start by reaching out," Mae suggested, her heart racing a bit. "Maybe we can send an email to your grandfather or whoever is handling the estate, just to confirm what's happening, and see if there's anything more we should know." Lucy entered next, hair tousled but a spark in her eyes. "You mean like an actual email? To my grandpa?" She sounded uncertain, like she was preparing to step onto a stage for her first performance. "Yes," Mae replied, trying her best to sound optimistic. "It's a small step, but it's a step nonetheless." The kids nodded and there was a moment of silence, thick with unspoken fears. Mae took a deep breath, attempting to dispel the tension. "You know, this might be like peeling an onion. It could be a bit messy, but there could be something worth discovering underneath all those layers." "Do onions even have fun stuff inside?" Jake quipped, trying to cut the heaviness with humor as he reached for a piece of toast. "Maybe more like a surprise party," Lucy chimed in, chuckling. "You never know what's hiding in there." Mae smiled, grateful for their attempts to lighten the mood. They worked together, drafting the email carefully, typing and retyping sentences, weighing every word. Mae's fingers shook slightly as she hit send, a mix of relief and anxiety flooding her. "Now we wait," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. The clock ticked down, seconds echoing in the room with increasing weight. As hours passed, the warmth of the morning faded into the afternoon. Mae busied herself with chores, but her mind was elsewhere. What if there was more to the inheritance? What if they truly uncovered something connected to their father's past? Then a ping from her phone jolted her. A reply. Goosebumps raced up Mae's arms as she felt a mix of excitement and dread. She gathered her courage and opened the email, her heartbeat thumping in her ears. The message was brief and unsettling. "There's more than I can explain in writing. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow at the old house." Shock ran through Mae. The old house. Memories flooded back, stark reminders of a relationship overshadowed by silence. The place where she once felt so welcome, now a haunting ghost of what had been lost. "Mom, what did they say?" Jake's voice broke her reverie, his eyes wide with curiosity. The message said we need to talk." Mae's voice was shaky, her mind racing with questions. "We're meeting at the old house tomorrow." Silence swallowed the kitchen once again. Lucy blinked rapidly, processing the weight of this new development. What do you think that means? I want to hope for answers, Mae whispered. But it could also mean confronting things we've avoided for too long. Jake crossed his arms, his brow furrowed. What if it's just a trap? Setting us up for more disappointment? Mae understood that fear. Then we'll face it together. No matter what. But we owe it to ourselves to find out. There was a resolve building among them. A steadfastness that cut through the tension. They only had one day left to prepare. One day to figure out how to navigate this potential reunion. As the sun set outside, casting shadows in the kitchen, Mae felt a flicker of hope ignite amidst the uncertainty. Tomorrow could be the day we finally unravel the truth behind that $50 inheritance. Or it could turn everything upside down. Let us do it, Jake said, determination creeping back into his voice. But deep down, Mae wondered if they were ready for whatever awaited them at that old house. Would the ghosts of the past offer them healing, or bring forward shadows they weren't prepared to face? The maze of emotions hung in the air, thick and waiting. Tomorrow held the promise of clarity, but also the risk of pain. And Mae knew she needed to be strong. For her children and for herself. Whatever it is, we'll handle it together, she reassured them, though privately, the knot in her stomach tightened. Because tomorrow wasn't just about a meeting, it was about everything they had left behind. Little did they know, their journey into the unknown was about to become a true test of their family bonds. Would they emerge on the other side stronger? Or would the past tear them apart? The next morning Mae awoke with the sun's rays creeping through her curtains, nudging her from sleep. Today wasn't just another day. It felt monumental, charged with an energy that thrummed in the air. She inhaled deeply, filling her lungs with hope and trepidation. Mom, hurry up! Jake called from the bathroom, already sounding impatient. Mae quickly brushed her teeth, her mind racing with thoughts of the old house and the pending conversation. What lay behind those walls? Would the visit dredge up memories cloaked in pain? Or would it bring a sense of closure? Lucy dashed into the kitchen, her excitement palpable. I made us breakfast, she said, proudly displaying a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. We need to be prepared for anything. Mae smiled as she sat down to join them. Breakfast might be the light moment they needed before diving into the day's unknowns. This is perfect, Lucy. Thank you for taking care of us. As they ate, the usual banter flickered through the air. Jake joked about how the old house was probably haunted, dramatic impressions of ghostly whispers escaping his lips. Despite herself, Mae laughed. They needed this. Light moments to balance out the knots in their stomachs. Okay, we need to leave a little early, Mae said after breakfast, glancing at the clock. If we're going to do this, I want to be there on time. After a hurried scramble to get dressed, they piled into the car. Mae could feel the weight of anticipation pressing down on her shoulders, each mile dragging along an assortment of feelings. Anxiety, curiosity, fear. She stole glances at her kids in the back seat, their faces reflecting their own mixture of emotions. As they approached the old house, the air thickened with memories. The tall trees swayed slightly, as if they too remembered the laughter and the tears that echoed through the once lively halls. Mae parked outside, her heart racing at the sight of the weathered facade. It looked almost the same but felt so different. Mom, are you sure we want to do this? Jake asked, his voice breaking through her reverie. We need to know, she replied, her voice firm yet soft. It's time to start getting answers, no matter how hard they might be. With a deep breath, they stepped out of the car and walked towards the front door. Mae felt a pull in her chest, emotions threatening to bubble to the surface. She knocked softly, the sound reverberating in the lonely quiet surrounding them. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadows. Mae couldn't discern their face completely, but the familiar outline sent a shudder through her. You came, the voice was low, edged with emotion. Yes, Mae managed, fighting to keep her composure. Inside, the air was stagnant and heavy with a history that felt both oppressive and nostalgic. Mae gestured for Jake and Lucy to follow her inside. The living room was barely recognizable, the worn furniture covered in dust, but the memories rushed back, the laughter, the warmth, the family dinners that once filled this space. As they settled into small chairs, the figure stepped into the light. It was an older man, someone Mae hadn't seen in years, yet his features were unmistakable. I'm glad you're here, there are things we need to discuss. The heaviness of those words hung in the air like fog, obscuring the reasons for their visit. Mae exchanged worried glances with her children, unsure of what was coming next. "What do you mean?" she finally asked, voice steady but heart racing. "There's more to your father's past than you know," he replied, his eyes reflecting an ocean of unspoken truths. Each word pierced through Mae like ice, awakening long-buried feelings. Would this be the moment everything crumbled? Or could it be the key to understanding who they really were? She held her breath, unsure if she was ready for this journey. Had they truly prepared for the revelations ahead? Or were they stepping blindly into a storm? "Why don't you start from the beginning?" Mae urged, heart thumping painfully against her chest as he began to speak. She braced herself for the unexpected twists that lay ahead, knowing that whatever happened next could change everything. And then the real inheritance was about to unfold. The man paused, his expression heavy with years of unshared stories. Mae leaned forward, the air between them thick with anticipation. "Your father," he began hesitantly. "He wasn't just the man you knew. There were secrets, things he buried to protect you." Jake shifted nervously in his chair, while Lucy's eyes darted between Mae and the old man, sensing the tension. "What kind of secrets?" Mae finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Each syllable weighed down by fear of what was to come. He took a breath, as though the words were a weight long carried. "He had a life before you. One filled with choices that haunted him, mistakes that could have changed everything." "Like what?" Jake interrupted, his youthful curiosity pushing through the somber atmosphere. The man's gaze flickered to Mae, searching for understanding. "Your father was involved in more than just work. There were things his past entangled him with that could put you in danger, things he thought were long gone." "Danger?" Mae felt a chill race down her spine. She exchanged a worried glance with her children. She couldn't help but think back to her childhood. All the times they felt safe. The warmth of family dinners, the way her father held her when she fell. That image was beginning to crack. "Why didn't he tell us?" Lucy asked, her voice small, a hint of betrayal lacing her question. The man sighed, leaning back as if the weight of his words had become too much. "He thought he was protecting you. He didn't want you to have to carry the burden of his choices. He loved you, but he was also scared." "Scared of what?" Mae pressed, her heart racing, the urgency in her voice revealing her desperation to untangle this web of secrets. "Of the people he might have wronged and of the danger they could still pose. He wanted to keep you all safe. For years he managed to do so." But his voice trailed off, clouds of regret hanging heavy in the room. "Is he in danger now?" Mae squeaked, her mind racing ahead to turbulent possibilities. She could see it mirrored in her children's eyes, fear creeping in where love had once filled their lives. "No," but he hesitated again, then continued, "The past is a tricky thing. You never know who might come seeking answers or revenge." The silence that followed swallowed her whole. Mae's hands trembled as she processing the gravity of his words. Her father wasn't the infallible hero she had always imagined. He was a man encased in shadows, a man with a past that could ripple through their lives at any moment. "That's why I called you here," the man finally said. "There are things you need to know to free yourselves from whatever is lurking in the dark." "Like what?" Mae pressed, desperation crawling into her voice. "You need to find the truth within the mystery," he replied, his gaze piercing. "But be prepared, this could shake your foundation." The words hung like a storm cloud, making Mae's heart race wildly. What truth lay behind these revelations? Could it be more than she was ready to handle? "Mom," Jake broke the tension, his voice a touch steadier than before. "What are we supposed to do with all of this?" "Together," Lucy answered softly, her eyes wide, taking Mae's hand. "We face it together." Mae felt a rush of fierce pride in her children, but it was quickly overshadowed by uncertainty. What if the past they were about to unearth was darker than she had ever thought? Tonight was just the beginning, and each revelation held the potential to change everything they believed about their family. The old man's gaze held an intensity that pierced through the uncertainty as he added, "You may have to confront parts of your father's legacy you never imagined, and it will take all of you to stand against it." "Why does it feel like we're standing on the edge of something huge?" Mae murmured, fear and resolve knitting together in her chest, ready to take the plunge. And in that moment, buried questions surged to the forefront of Mae's mind, promising that the next step in their journey could be the one that ultimately reshaped their lives. Mae felt the uneasiness in the room settle like a heavy fog, The old man's words hung there, thick and suffocating. She glanced at Jake and Lucy, their faces illuminated by the dim light, expressions flickering between bravery and fear. This was the moment they had to decide whether to dive into the unknown, or to retreat to the comfort of ignorance. "I want to understand," Mae finally said, her voice steadying despite the tremor beneath. "What specifically do we need to uncover? What did he leave behind?" The old man leaned forward, clasping his hands together. "Their essay box. An old wooden box hidden in the attic of your father's home. Inside it, you'll find letters, photographs, maybe even documents that can clarify everything: his life, his past, and the people he feared." "Why didn't you tell us this before?" Jake asked, his youthful impatience surfacing. "Seems like that would have been important." "Because," the old man replied gently, "sometimes the truth isn't just a story waiting to be told. It's a burden that comes with deep cuts and scars. I didn't know if you were ready to bear it. But it seems you've already crossed the threshold. You need to know your father was not just an everyday man. He was involved in something far beyond your imagination." Mae felt a lump form in her throat. The attic. It had always been a place of wonder and cherished memories, a treasure trove of her childhood. But what if it now held the very truths that could tear her family apart? "We have to go there," Lucy said, squeezing Mae's hand tighter. "If there's something waiting for us, we should face it together." "And if it's too much?" Jake added, his youthful bravado slightly wavering. "If it's too much, then we face that too," Mae replied, her voice resolute. "We're a family. We can handle anything." The old man regarded her with a new respect. "Your father would be proud of your strength. But do keep in mind, truths can be painful." "That's why we're going to be careful," Lucy said, her resolve inheriting a glimmer of strength as she faced her brother. They sat together, united, just for that moment, all the weight of the conversation swirling around them like dust motes caught in a sunbeam. After a heavy pause, Mae felt a surge of warmth emanate from her children's presence. "Let us head out in the morning," she decided, her fear fading into a cautious bravery. "Then we can face whatever is waiting in that attic." As they moved to stand, the old man added one last thing that sent a fresh chill through Mae's bones. "Just remember, sometimes tampering with the past can have unforeseen consequences. Be ready for anything." Walking out of the dimly lit room, Mae glanced back one last time. The old man's sagging shoulders seemed heavier now, weighed down by the knowledge he carried. With every step she took, the heaviness of their upcoming journey loomed larger in her mind. "What if what we find changes everything?" Jake whispered as they climbed into the car, apprehension replacing the initial excitement. Mae paused, her breath catching in her throat. "Then we deal with it together." Morning would come far too soon, but tomorrow would hold answers and perhaps the beginning of a new chapter for them all. The sun barely had a chance to rise when her phone buzzed sharply against the nightstand. It was a message from a number she didn't recognize. Unease curled in her stomach as she opened it, her heart racing. "Meet me at the old oak tree near your father's house. You need to know the full truth before it's too late." A sense of dread coursed through her. What had she stepped into? The truth may be lurking closer than she had imagined. Mae's breath hitched in her throat as she stared at the screen. The message pulsed with urgency and her heart raced, pounding an insistent rhythm against her ribcage. The old oak tree. She could picture it clearly, the grand, gnarled branches reaching out like ancient arms. But what awaited her there? "Who was that?" Lucy asked, her eyes wide with concern. "A message," Mae stammered, her fingers shaking slightly as she put the phone down. She could feel her children leaning closer, drawn in by the weight of her worries. "Someone wants to meet us at the old oak tree." "Do you think it's about Dad?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. There was a curious blend of hope and fear in his words. "I don't know," Mae admitted, feeling the burden of her uncertainty settle heavily on her shoulders. "But it feels important. Maybe it's connected to the box we're looking for." Lucy's grip on Mae's hand tightened. "Should we go? What if it's a trap?" The bond they shared bolstered Mae, offering her a sliver of confidence. "If it is a trap, we'll face it together. We have to find out the truth." After a few moments of hushed deliberation, they decided. Mae drove them to the familiar path leading to her father's home, every bump in the road echoing the tension in the car. As they arrived, the sun peeked through the trees, casting a hopeful glow on the old oak tree. It stood alone in the clearing, ancient and commanding, its branches whispering secrets of the past. "They're waiting for us," Mae murmured, stepping out of the car. She turned to Jake and Lucy, looking them straight in the eyes. "Whatever happens, we stand together." "I'm ready," Jake said, determination flashing across his youthful face. They walked toward the tree, a knot in Mae's stomach tightening with each step. The air felt thicker as they approached, shadows trailing behind them like ghosts from another time. A figure emerged from behind the tree, a woman, her silhouette distorted in the dappled light. Mae's heart skipped a beat. She recognized the face even before her eyes adjusted fully. "Lorna," Mae gasped, memories flooding back. Lorna was her father's old friend, someone she hadn't seen in years. "We need to talk," Lorna said, her voice steady yet tinged with a tremor of urgency. "What do you know about the box?" Mae asked, not wanting to waste time on pleasantries. Lorna hesitated, glancing at the children as if weighing the impact of her words. "Your father was involved in something significant, something that didn't just affect him. It affects all of you now." Jake's brow furrowed. "What do you mean? You can't just drop that and not elaborate." "I wish it were simple." Lorna sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "There are people who want to keep this buried. The box contains their secrets. Secrets they will do anything to protect." Mae felt her heart drop. "And you think they'll come after us?" "It's possible. That's why you have to be careful," Lorna said softly, her eyes darting toward the surrounding woods as if expecting someone to step out at any moment. Fear washed over Mae like an icy tide, but in the next breath, a flicker of courage ignited within her. "We have to get to the attic. The truth can protect us if we go in knowing what lurks behind it." Lorna nodded. "But you're not just uncovering your father's past. You're bringing to light forces that will try to stop you at any cost." Mae felt a chill run down her spine. "Then let us get the box before it's too late." They turned to head back, but just as they did, a rustling sound echoed through the trees. Mae's heart sank again. She scanned the shadows, anxiety clawing at her chest. "What was that?" Lucy asked, eyes wide with fear. "Stay close," Mae commanded, her voice low yet firm. As the rustling grew nearer, Mae took a deep breath, ready to face whatever was coming. What secrets were hidden in the box? And who or what was lurking just out of sight? The air was thick with anticipation as Mae, Jake, and Lucy hurriedly walked back to the car, Lorna guiding them, her expression serious. The rustling from the trees melted into the background as they rushed together. No time could be wasted. What secrets waited for them at the old house? Hand in hand, the bond between them felt electric, each heartbeat echoing their determination. Once seated in the car, the engine purred to life and the familiar path unfurled ahead of them. Mae's mind swirled with questions. She stole glances at her children. Jake's knuckles turned white as he gripped the armrest, while Lucy's eyes flashed with a blend of excitement and fear. They were standing on the precipice of something monumental. "Mom, do you really think we're ready for this?" Jake asked, breaking the silence. His voice was steady, but Mae could hear the tremor underneath. "It's not about being ready," Mae replied, her own heart racing. "It's about facing the truth. We owe it to ourselves, to your father." Arriving at the old house made Mae's breath hitch. The place felt heavier than she remembered. Shadows stretched along the ground as they opened the creaky door. The house still held echoes of laughter and joy, but now there was a thick layer of dust, like the air itself was weighed down with memories. "Upstairs," Lorna urged, breaking the silence that had settled upon them. They climbed the rickety staircase, heartbeats syncopating with the creaks of wood beneath them. The attic door loomed ahead, a portal to the secrets that had haunted them. "Are you sure this is the right place?" Lucy's voice trembled, but Mae took a step forward. "It has to be." Her fingers shook as she reached for the doorknob, twisting it slowly. The door swung open, revealing a dimly lit space cluttered with boxes, cobwebs, and forgotten heirlooms. The scent of dust clouds mixed with nostalgia filled the air. "Where would the box be?" Jake asked, his eyes darting around, searching for the answer. "We'll have to sift through what's here," Lorna replied. "Your father kept it well hidden for a reason. Trust that it's here somewhere." They began to search, each box they opened revealing fragments of their father's life, but not the key they sought. Old toys, family photos, letters yellowed by time, all symbols of who they had lost, yet also pieces of a puzzle they were desperate to complete. Just as despair began to creep in, Mae caught sight of something tucked beneath a pile of faded newspapers. A small wooden box ornately carved, untouched by time. Her heart raced, the significance rolling over her like a wave. "There!" she exclaimed, pulling it free. "What do you find?" Jake rushed in, his curiosity piqued. "It's everything," she whispered, brushing off the dust. "Our past, our father's choices." Holding the box, Mae felt a tremor of the momentous weight that sat on the threshold of their lives. A flicker of light dimly glowed, illuminating the edges of memories waiting to be uncovered. Lorna stepped closer, peering at the box. "Open it," she urged gently, with her heart pounding. Mae lifted the lid. A collection of letters, old photographs, and various trinkets unfolded before her eyes, whispering the stories that had been buried with their father. Tears welled as she noticed the first letter, addressed to her, a heartfelt confession of love, loss, and regret. Jake and Lucy leaned in, eager to absorb the shared history of their family. "I was scared of the past," the letter read. "I wanted to protect you all, but I wish I had been brave enough to show you who I really was." "No," Mae murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "He fought hard for us." As each letter revealed a new layer of their father's story, Mae felt secrets lifted, and the connection with Jake and Lucy solidifying as they processed the revelations together. And yet, as the warmth of understanding enveloped them, Mae remained alert, aware of looming shadows just outside this newfound illumination. "Is there more?" she asked Lorna, eyes wide. "It's not just your father's past," she replied. "It's yours too. You must understand that. Not all of it is easy. Some will want to silence the truth." As Mae processed Lorna's words, the shadow of impending danger crept back into focus. They couldn't just stop here. It was time to confront it all, whatever secrets lay waiting beyond the shadows. With renewed strength, Mae looked at her children. "We take this truth and we face whatever comes next. Together." "Together," Jake and Lucy echoed, their eyes shining with determination as they stood side by side. Mae knew their journey toward understanding their father's legacy was just beginning. Whatever darkness lay ahead would only make their bond stronger, and they would never back down. "Let us get moving," Mae urged. They left the attic behind, the box tucked carefully under her arm. Tiny glimmers of hope danced in their hearts, intertwining with their fears like threads in a tapestry. The sun streamed through the windows, illuminating their path, warming them with a promise that they were not defined by their father's past but were ready to forge their future. United, with eyes wide open, they stepped forward into a new chapter of their lives. Each heartbeat echoed their commitment to facing the unknown, reclaiming their family's legacy and ensuring love, history, and connection ignited brighter than ever before. Together, they would write the next chapter, come what may. Now that you've reached the end of this heartwarming journey, don't let it stop here. You need to subscribe now to stay connected with the exclusive stories that touch hearts just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this extraordinary transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about Mae's journey and how it resonated with you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and feel the pull of family love and courage. Your support makes all the difference.